Got a couple of videos actually I need to do, but I gotta start with the best one. GE, General Electric, CEO Jeffrey Immelt, the head of Obama's Jobs Council, is moving jobs and economic infrastructure to China at a blistering pace. Wasn't he supposed to keep jobs in America? Wasn't he in charge of that? Jeffrey Immelt, the head of Barack Obama's highly touted Jobs Council, is moving even more GE infrastructure to China. GE makes more medical imaging machines than anyone else in the world, and now GE has announced that it is moving the headquarters of its 115-year-old X-ray business to Beijing. Apparently, this is all part of a plan to invest about $2 billion across China over the next few years. But moving core pieces of its business overseas is nothing new for GE. Under Immelt, GE has shipped tens of thousands of good jobs out of the United States. Perhaps GE should change its slogan to "Imagination at Work in China." If the very people that have been entrusted with solving the unemployment crisis are shipping jobs out of the country, what hope is there that things are going to turn around anytime soon? Good point. And that's why I've been doing these videos. It's why other people have been doing these videos. To let you know there will not be any economic recovery whatsoever. There will not be any jobs recovery whatsoever. And if you don't have those two things especially, you're not going to have any kind of economic recovery, no matter what country you're in. So, at the same time, big government can't bring in that tax base. Where did that tax base go? We gotta raise the debt ceiling again. Which, funny enough, is my next story of some interesting statistics. So, let me continue. Earlier this month, Immelt made the following statement to a job summit at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Quote, "There's no excuse today for lack of leadership. The truth is we all need to be part of the solution." Apparently, Immelt's idea of being part of the solution is to ship as many jobs overseas as he possibly can. A recent article on the Huffington Post documented how GE has been sending tens of thousands of good jobs out of the country. As the administration struggles to prod businesses to create jobs at home, GE has been busy sending them abroad. Since Immelt took over in 2001, GE has shed 34,000 jobs in the U.S., according to its most recent annual filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. But it's added 25,000 jobs overseas. At the end of 2009, GE employed 36,000 more people abroad than it did in the U.S. In the year 2000, it was nearly the opposite. That's only 10 years, by the way. And if that's just the last 10 years, which is a very short period of time, do you have any idea, any thought of how the next few years, much less the next 10 years, are going to be? GE is supposed to be creating the jobs of tomorrow, but it seems that most of the jobs of tomorrow will not be located in the United States of America. The last GE factory in the U.S. that made light bulbs closed last September. That's 2010. The transition to the new CFL light bulbs was supposed to create a whole new bunch of those green jobs. Obama kept talking about that. All these green jobs that they're going to create. But, and he links to it, as an article in the Washington Post noted, that simply is not happening. Rather than setting off a boom in the U.S. manufacture of replacement lights, the leading replacement lights are compact fluorescents, or CFLs, which are made almost entirely overseas, and more specifically, China. But GE is far from alone in shipping jobs and economic infrastructure out of the United States. For example, the big automakers, such as Ford, are being very aggressive in China. Ford is currently building 3 factories in Chongqing as part of $1.6 billion investment that also includes another plant in Nanchang. And by the way, GE has done the same thing and used the bailout money that they got to even basically do the same thing and start opening plants up in China. But that was kind of hushed under the radar, under the news. It's not important. Just focus on these fake terrorist attacks and let us keep you in fear so that you don't pay attention to the things that are even more important than that, such as the money stolen out of your back pocket and your children's back pocket, given to GM to save jobs and create jobs for the future America, only to be used to create GM plants over in China. And now Ford, who didn't even need a bailout, is doing the same thing anyways. Today, China accounts for approximately 1 out of every 4 vehicles sold worldwide. The big automakers consider the future to be in China. Just a few decades ago, China was an economic joke, and the U.S. economy was absolutely unparalleled. But disastrous trade policies have opened the door for a mammoth transfer of jobs, factories, and wealth from the United States to China. China has become an absolute powerhouse, and America is rapidly declining. It kind of reminds, where did I hear that from in advance? Oh, that's right, Lindsey Williams, over 2 years ago even, when he said, in about 2 years' time, which would put us sometime in 2011, you won't recognize America from what it was then, in 2009 when he first said it. You will not recognize America in about 2 years. And the way I took that is if you were frozen in time, seeing the way things were, what was going on, to right now, you could easily wake up and see this, see these numbers, see the unemployment, see all these things taking place, jobs being thrown out, president with his birth certificate issue, which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and get on that for a second. Orly Tates, the lawyer, has got a court order now signed. She's already mailed it off to the State of Hawaii Health Department. Show us, via court order signed by this judge, the original long-form birth certificate, which contains all of the above, which mainly what the birth certificate would contain: doctor's signature, mother's signature, church, nurse on staff, on duty, whatever, all that. Basically what we were shown in the White House, and even says, listen, this isn't a privacy issue anymore since he put it on the website, White House website. It is no longer a privacy issue, so you can't use privacy law. Court order, show it to us. You might find this hard to believe, but they have not received a response, even declining to show it or anything. They're pretending as if they didn't get it, yet she shows the documentation that it was received, signed off, post office date, FedEx date, all that stuff. No response. If it's that easy, if it was really true, real birth certificate, they would have already sent it in. Again, if you can put a copy on the White House, you can bring or allow people even to come to the facility in Hawaii, the health office or whatever, and view the thing, especially through a court order. And they're stonewalling. Why do people stonewall and things like that? Because they don't have it. Just like my mortgage video I did yesterday or the day before or whatever. These banks don't have the paperwork. They promised through the lawsuit that was filed by all the attorney generals of all 50 states, you will pay this fine and you will cease and desist the robo-signing, messed up paperwork process, part of this court order or part of this agreement that we're settling on. Okay. And then they did it again immediately. Why? Because it's not that they just could get away with it. It's because they don't have the paperwork. They have no choice but to robo-sign. They have no choice but to create fake documents and send them into the court as if they're real, hoping, and for the most part they've been right the whole time, that the people won't stand up and fight in court and just walk away from their house and not even argue, not even show up. They get that 20 days to respond, court order or lawsuit, complaint, foreclosure or whatever. Down on my luck, I was hoping the economy would turn around by now, and Barack Obama and the Congress and the news and everyone's saying that it's the numbers are pretty decent, but not for me, of course. But I'm just probably one of those weird statistics that I was one of the, down on my luck. It's not, it's my fault. It's no one else's fault. And things will get better, but they just didn't get better fast enough for me, so I'm going to walk. Even though you spent tens of thousands of dollars in payments towards that house, you're just going to walk as if it's nothing. No big deal. It's just a little economic glitch. It'll get better. It's not going to get better. If you're considering not paying your mortgage because you're struggling, you already know how I feel about that. I wouldn't even think twice. I'd already be all over that in 2 seconds. So let me continue here. In anyways, with the reason I'm bringing all this up, all this crap has happened over just the last couple of years. So if you were frozen in time and woke up in 2011 and just start picking up what's going on in the world, what's been happening, how's the country, this and that, we have a debt ceiling crisis. I've never heard of that before. What is that? Healthcare bill, all that stuff passed, etc. So let me continue. Beautiful new infrastructure is going up all over China, even as U.S. infrastructure rots and decays right in front of our eyes. You can see some amazing pictures of the stunning economic development that has been going on in China, and he lists 4 links here, and here. America is being deindustrialized at lightning speed, and very few of our politicians seem to care. Back in 1975, there were 19.5 million manufacturing jobs in the U.S. Today, there are only 11.6 million. That's a 40% decline during a time period when our overall population experienced tremendous growth and, in all fairness, very economical, powerful on the world scene. Very incredible. First world status, as we all know. Most powerful economy in the world, as we all know. Was. I don't know about anymore. It's going the opposite way. As we all know, it's going to China now. So how could that happen? How do you have an economy boom and boom and boom and boom? Incredible. Everybody wants to come to America. Everybody in the world wants an American lifestyle. Yet the manufacturing base, the heart, the blood of our country, massively declining, yet opposite is occurring. How is that possible? Because we became a debt servicing beast, and we're able to do that for a little while this was taking place. So that gave us our powerhouse, these big Wall Street firms and these big banks and all this lending of money, and which, as we're all seeing now, has been going overseas for a long time. Anyways, we used to have the greatest manufacturing cities on the entire globe. The rest of the world was in awe of us. Today, most of those formerly great manufacturing cities are decaying, rotting hellholes. The following is what one reporter from the UK saw during his visit to Detroit. Quote, "As you pass the city limits, a blanket of gloom, neglect, and cheapness descends. The buildings are shabbier, the paint is faded. The businesses, where they exist, are thrift shops and pawn shops, or wretched groceries where the goods are old and tired. Finding somewhere to have breakfast, normally easy in any American city, involves a long hunt. God bless Detroit," says one billboard just beside another offering an alternative solution, liquor. You can see some really shocking images right here. It's just as a link. Our politicians insisted that globalism would not result in a giant sucking sound, as millions of jobs left America. But that is exactly what has happened. Sadly, most American families still do not understand what has happened. And as a matter of fact, I'll up the ante. Not only did they not understand what has happened, but they still currently don't understand or believe, one or the other or both, what is happening. Most of them are still waiting for things to get back to, quote, normal. Well, studies show that sometimes when we have an economic downturn, it's about between 5 to 7 years long, and we're already kind of almost at the halfway point on that. It's been about 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we're 3.5 years, almost 4. So we're almost halfway through this. And if things stay the way they are now, I think that'd be okay, because I still have my job, and we'll get past this. In another 3 years, we'll recover. Again, there will be no recovery. This will not be some kind of standardized recession. It'll last 7 years or so, 5 to 7, and we'll recover. There will be nothing of the sort when manufacturing is taken out of the country, given to slave labor wages in other countries, specifically China, and the big giant corporations in this country that do provide lots of jobs are closing down shop here and going over to China and other countries, especially China, because they're the cheapest slave labor on the face of the earth from what I understand. So again, that combined, and all these people that we're supporting in the government, troops and wars and all this stuff that is contingent on us paying those taxes, that tax base is going to crumble. It already is crumbling, as we can see with the raising of the deficit nonsense. So more jobs will continue to be shipped out because these guys at the top don't care about you or me or anything else other than their bottom line, aka profit. And if they can move the slave labor wages, by all means, they are going to. And they're the same people in charge of your country. If you really think, oh no, Obama is, oh no, this guy and these people in Congress are. What was the beginning thing I told you? What was the beginning of this damn article that I'm reading you? GE CEO Jeffrey Immelt, the head of Obama's Jobs Council, is moving jobs and economic infrastructure to China at a blistering pace. He is in charge in a government body appointed by your president. So if you think, well, he's not, Obama's the one making the decision, that guy just made a bad move. No, Obama assigned him, appointed him to that position. In other words, that guy was appointed by the elite to take that position and told Obama, put him in that position. Yes, sir, puts him in the position. So don't give me this crap about Democrats and I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and I'm a conservative. It doesn't matter. Those labels are crap. Pure crap. So let's see, where was I leaving off at here? Millions of unemployed Americans are dealing with incredible amounts of stress right now as they wait for jobs to start opening up again. Jobs to start opening up again. But the jobs that have been shipped overseas are not coming back. In a globalized economy, it doesn't make sense to hire American workers when you can legally pay for workers at slave labor wages on the other side of the globe in China. Millions of good middle-class American jobs have been replaced by low-paying service jobs. Today, there are a huge number of Americans that are cutting hair or flipping burgers because that is all they can get right now. Many others are only able to survive off their safety net. One reader named David recently left a comment in which he shared his story. David did everything that the system asked him to, but the promised rewards were never materialized. Now David is broke, unemployed, and he feels deeply frustrated. Now notice how it says he did everything the system asked him to do, but the promised rewards never materialized. Kind of like the pension systems for these police officers, firefighters, like the story I gave you the other day out of Rochester. City comes to them, you have a choice to make. 50% cut in your pension, or we let it go to bankruptcy, and you're probably not going to like the result of that. It'll be worse, if anything. Oh, again, played by the rules, did everything the system asked, police, firemen, all that stuff. But the reward, pension in this case for the police officers, never materialized as promised. It got cut to 50%. And if things continue to get worse, how much do you want to bet that they won't come up and say again, retirees, listen, I know you're ready to blow my head off, City Council, we're actually going to retire after we tell you this, by the way. We need to cut your pensions down again another 25% of whatever's left. Huh? After you already cut it 50% 2 years ago? Yeah. by the way, we quit, have a nice day, and then they probably run out of the office for fear of dying and being murdered and hanged. So, here's the quote from this guy, David. "A year ago I had a job, we were struggling, but bills were getting paid, and somehow we were getting by. Then I made the mistake of getting sick, one day before my company insurance kicked in. An autoimmune illness almost killed me. If it weren't for the amazing efforts of my physicians and an emergency splenectomy, I would not be here. My wife would have been a single mother raising 2 young sons, one of which is autistic. Instead, I pulled through. The disease damaged my liver, leaving me with a chronic condition, and even after a year, it's hard to get up and get out and go some days. My employer dumped me as soon as I left the hospital, and I haven't worked since. It isn't for lack of looking. There just isn't anything. Oh, I get my government cheese money. Here I am, college educated, unable to find something that can pay the bills better than the money that we get from the government. It sickens me to be this dependent on the system like this, but the system de-insensitizes work and makes living on the dole make a perverse economic sense. I used to have dreams, but I have given up on them. My wife and I have no savings, we have no life raft, and if it weren't for the generosity of her parents and mine, things would have ground to a halt a long time ago. I believed everything adults told me. Work hard, I did. Get an education, I did. Find a nice girl and settle down, I did. 2 cars, a dog, a cat, a couple of kids, a nice townhouse, the American dream, yep. I love my country. My heart is broken. Broken because I have been betrayed. I did what you asked, I played by the rules. I did what you said to do. I submitted, I conformed, I stopped dreaming. Now what? I am willing to pay for my faults and transgressions. My failures are my own. I get that. But really, are they? Or is it the way the system works? My children should not have to suffer for my failures. They didn't do anything wrong. My youngest boy is autistic. We hope he will be able to integrate into society, but the fact is we may have to take care of him the rest of his life. How do I do this with nothing and no opportunity in the foreseeable future? Depression, stress, yep, I've got all that. I used to be hopeful and optimistic about the future. Now all I am is afraid. The best part of his little speech. I love my country. My heart is broken because I have been betrayed. I did what you asked. I played by the rules. I did what you said to do. I submitted. I conformed. I stopped dreaming. Now what? As I said, when the average person in America finally catches on, the only way to fight back is to not be a part of that system. And if that system has you in debt up to your ears, and you can find a way to not pay that debt, stop making payments on things for your own survival and well-being so you don't have to end up like him, your life, your children's life, and safekeeping right now is more important than making your mortgage payment. It's more important than making a credit card payment. And if you are struggling and you are suffering because you are making those payments, trying to do the right thing, got to keep my right good credit score, I would say if it was me, I wouldn't dare do that. I'd stop making payments on some or all of those things to get myself in a better position, because my life and my children's life are more important than my damn credit score or paying back some sucker punk ass bank that created money out of thin air to loan to you and allows you to slave your life away just to make back that payment plus gobs of interest on it. But if your life is great right now and you've got tons of money and life is good, then keep paying. Keep paying on those things. Keep doing the right thing. I'm sure this will never happen to you. Or will it? Or could it? As the United States continues to bleed jobs, good jobs, stories like this one you just read are going to become much more common. So what are our politicians going to do about all of this? They tell us that we need even more free trade. Barack Obama says that we need more free trade. The Republicans say that we need more free trade. Both parties. and the president. In Washington, D.C., our politicians do not agree on much, but one thing they do agree on is that we need to keep shipping jobs out of the country for some reason. Until the American people wake up and start demanding an end to the globalization of the U.S. economy, the job losses are just going to continue to get worse, as I said. And it's obvious. This isn't something you can argue with. It cannot and will not get better until all of this stops. And do you see, in any kind of near future, years and years and years out even, any chance of that stopping? What's been kicking in high gear right now with these jobs being thrown out of the country and into other countries. GM moving over there, Ford moving over there, now GE moving over there. Max Kaiser the other day talked about Caterpillar, massive construction equipment company, Caterpillar, biggest in the world, I believe. Also moving out, big branches out of the country and over there. These are major manufacturing type of jobs. But it doesn't. Why pay an American? Why pay some American who's upside down in his house 2 or maybe even 3 times what that bozo thought it was worth, when I get paid pennies practically to some bozo in China that's living 5, 6, 7 people in their house like the Mexicans do? It's a no-brainer. We're getting the hell out of here. As long as that's allowed to continue. And again, who's in charge? Where's that title again? Head of jobs, Czar, whatever. GE guy. Supposed to be helping create jobs, and he's moving the jobs out. That's who's in charge of the country. So when I see Barack Obama giving his speech the other day, and there's all these people that were invited in, kids, children, parents, black, white, old, young, just big Obama supporters, and he's talking, and if this was a dictatorship, this would be a lot easier. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But that's not the way this country works in a democracy. Yes, you can. All those people were there for is some kind of photo op, and to them, it's just like your favorite singer, your favorite actor, whatever. These idols, which shouldn't even be an idol for anybody. I have no idols in my life like I worship somebody. That's so stupid. But these people treated him, the president, as if he was like, Paul McCartney from the Beatles, or nowadays Lady Gaga right in the front row. Oh my God, and there's this lady with her camera. It's on standby. She's snapping shots. Just the glow of her face. This guy is right in front of me, a couple rows up, standing there talking. My favorite guy, my idol. I don't even care what he's saying, just he's in my presence and I'm snapping photos and this is going to be great. I'm going to get to show my kids and their kids that I was that close to the President of the United States. And they don't have a clue that this guy who's gutting their future even, who's allowing it, putting this guy like GE guy over here, head of the jobs recovery position, who's dumping jobs out of the country. Now I know. I've always struggled with this question in my mind. We all look back at Germany, Nazi Germany, Hitler. How could the people, once they saw what he was finally about, he grabbed all that power, even got the laws passed to give him complete dictatorship powers, then turned on everybody, started going on the round, starting the World War, killing up everybody, gassing people, the whole 9 yards, millions of people dead, buried just because of the race, all that stuff. Yet the entire army and most of the nation were standing right behind the guy. Hey, he's our guy. He's our guy. We stand behind him no matter what was happening. This is absurd when you look back at that. How could these people stand there? You could talk to a German, any German today, and they would say, oh no, there's no way I stand by him today. But most of the country did when he was doing the things he was doing. And the people working for him directly in the military, army, all that, we're just, hey, we're following orders, and he's our guy. We love this guy. Big parades and, all that stuff. But I think it goes along the lines with that old thing about the truth, how the truth goes through 3 phases or whatever. First it is ridiculed, then it is violently opposed, and then it just becomes common knowledge. Back then, it was written off by society. There's no way that's the truth. Kind of like 9/11 being an inside job. There's no way. No way. No way. Can't be. And then it's violently opposed. then they start locking up their citizens. You don't agree with Hitler? We'll start locking you up. We'll start putting you in these death camps. Violently opposed, right? And now all of a sudden it's common knowledge. Nobody today would agree with Hitler. It's just, everybody knows that. But you couldn't go back there in those days and say, is he right or wrong? Oh, of course he's right. He's the supreme leader. We love him. Sieg Heil, Hitler. But that was during the phase of the truth in the early stages. So I now know how and why people, no matter what is happening right before their eyes, no matter what is taking place, blinders are on in full effect. It doesn't matter. But in the future, those people will still be alive, potentially anyways, and we'll be able to look back and realize, like the people nowadays look back on Hitler, even those alive right now looking back, understand, yeah, that was bad news. They're going to look back at this president and this Congress, both parties, and if John McCain and Sarah Palin had won, I'd be saying the same thing, and the same thing would be going on, and the same guy would be in charge of GE, in charge of this damn jobs recovery thing under McCain and Palin too. So I don't want to hear any of that nonsense about Barack this and because he's a Democrat or because so-and-so's a Republican. It doesn't matter. They're all bought and paid for, and that's all that matters. So when I see people comment on other sections on YouTube or other videos on YouTube, and how do you liberals like that? Yeah, you freaking liberals and you libtards, and yeah, the Republicans. Shut your mouth. Shut your damn mouth. You're part of the problem, you idiot. Because of that thinking mentality, you clearly don't have a clue what the hell's going on, and that they're both at fault and always have been at fault. Did the deficit go up under the Democratic rule throughout the entire history of the United States? Especially, 1950s and later. Yes, absolutely. Did the same thing happen with completely controlled Republican Congress and presidency? Absolutely. Hell yes, it did too. So then don't give me this crap. Oh, but Reagan raised the debt ceiling 17 times during his tenure. Barack's only done it, 3 times now. So don't give us any crap. Yeah, but how much of a money-wise, how much did they raise the deficit? If it's 17 times in the 1980s through Reagan's entire 2-year administration, was it, 200 billion this time and another 100 billion that time and another 150 billion that time? Yes. Yes, it was. But now, 2-point-something trillion a shot, another 2-point-something trillion the next shot. Now we want another 3 or so trillion, or 2.6, whatever they're trying to shoot for. They haven't even come to agreement yet. This isn't even in his first term, isn't even out. And while Bush was leaving and he was stepping in office, they raised it again. It's like the 3rd or 4th time, and then whatever happens now is going to be like the 5th time or so. And it's not a few billion or 100 billion. We're talking trillions each shot. So don't give me this crap about, Reagan, when Reagan was in office, he raised it 17 times. So what? How much was the grand total when he was in office? And besides that, every president appears to be doing it. Bush Jr. did it. Bush Sr. did it. Clinton did it. Yes, Reagan did it. But who's doing it the most now? The guy in charge now. And again, if McCain was in charge, it wouldn't matter. The same things would be happening. I'd be talking right now at this exact moment with just a different face in the Oval Office. So that's really about it. And now I'm going to do my last video.